Welcome to the Blackhawks Daily, your favorite recap of the daily buzz around your Chicago Blackhawks. And I'm your host, PJ. And, as we've been saying, thank you very much for tuning in. As we know, it's a slow, very dry off season. So we're just trying to grab some tidbits for you guys, keep the jonesing at bay until the puck drops on October 7th. So, but we got some interesting tidbits today. So let's go into that. The top four topics of today, let's start with a true legend, a true Chicago legend, and that is Mr. Stan Makita. As we mentioned before, during the offseason, I'm going to be recording these on the day before you see them. So this is showing on Friday. Today, I'm recording it Thursday. It's August 7th. I'm bringing that up because 7 years ago, on August 7th, 2018, we lost Stan Makita. So let's give Stash some love. On that day, hockey world lost one of its greatest ambassadors, and the city of Chicago lost one of its biggest sports legends. Makita passed away. He was 78 years old. His legacy will be remembered by Chicago Blackhawks fans for generations to come. The city of Chicago, of course, has a very long and storied sports history. Throughout the years, a number of amazing professional athletes have become icons here. The Bears have Peyton, the Bulls have Jordan, the Cubs had Ernie Banks, White Sox, Frank Thomas. And each team, many players on that team. And just for like the Blackhawks, we can go Bobby Hall, we can go Roenick, we can go Chelios, we can go Kane and Taves. But also in that conversation, Stan Makita. And actually, very importantly, Stan Makita. And you'll see why in a second. Born in present-day Slovakia, Makita moved to St. Catharines, Ontario at a young age, where he was adopted by his aunt and uncle, Anna and Joe. He became a star in the Ontario Hockey Association before making his national hockey debut in 1959. His career lasted until chronic back injuries led to his retirement during the 79-80 season. So yes, recently we have had the magic of Kane and Taves, but back then we had similar magic of Hull and Makita. And he was also known as a game changer. And what I mean by that is he actually changed his own game. Early in his career, he was one of the most penalized players in all of hockey. But then his 5-year-old daughter pointed out that she didn't understand why he was always in the penalty box while his friends, Uncle Bobby and the crew, were always on the players' bench. And so, he was like, how do I explain to my 5-year-old that I've been sinning conduct worthy of going to the penalty box? So he decided to change the focus. And, instead of toughness, he's going to focus on his game. He also designed, and also he's an innovator, just really quick, he designed his own helmet after an errant shot on goal took off part of his ear. So hence, he became one of the very first players to regularly wear a helmet on the ice. And also, he was a pioneer in the use of the curved stick, which is now the standard in the NHL. So his impact cannot be understated. So let's talk about what he did with the Hawks. He rewrote the Blackhawks record book. Over the course of his amazing 22-year career, he is the all-time franchise leader in points, 1,467, in assists, 926, in games played, 1,396, and plus minus 329. He's second on the rest in goals, 451, second only to Bobby Hull's 604. In even strength goals at 379, at game-winning goals at 84. He's got 15 hack tricks, shots of 4,482, and is third all-time in power play goals at 150. These are not the type of numbers that you get. These are not only the type of numbers that get you elected in the Hockey Hall of Fame in your first year of eligibility, but you also get a statue on Madison Street. We're so grateful to Stan for all of his contributions to Chicago, to his beloved Blackhawks. He played his entire career here, as well as to the sport as a whole. So, it's good remembering old Stan. Now let's talk a little bit about Mr. Kyle Davidson and how he's filling into his own. He's kind of maturing a little bit. 2 seasons ago, kind of like this season, there were very limited acquisitions made for the Chicago Blackhawks, and a lot of spots were left open to young players and to rookies. This didn't obviously turn out all that well. Many of the young players and rookies just weren't ready yet. So Kyle Davidson overcorrected last season. He brought in way too many veterans to fill spots, multiple of whom retired after this past season. So that didn't allow players like Frank Nazar to even make the team out of training camp, and led to a player like TJ Brodie being signed for multiple years. It appears, though, as though Davidson is splitting the difference now. He's leaning more towards the younger side for the Blackhawks, as we clearly have seen. Yes, Andre Burakovsky and Sam Lafferty were brought in, but Burakovsky offers more skill than the average addition, and Lafferty could play half the games next season or fewer. Not only did the Blackhawks cut down on the additions, they have lots of cap space to utilize moving forward because of this, while opening up spots for the younger players to more easily earn them. So it's not a bad situation for us to be in. The younger players that were looking to earn spots, these include Lucas Reichel, who we just talked about yesterday, Colton Dock, Ryan Green, Landon Slaggert, Oliver Moore, and even Aiden Thompson, who hadn't even played a game yet in the NHL. The Blackhawks didn't add on defense, and that was the right move. We have many more D-men are available to be NHL options this time around, including Levshunov and Renzel, who came in later last season, as well as Wyatt Kaiser, who we got to get him signed up, Ethan Del Mastro, Nolan Allen, Korchinski, and even Louis Crevier. The Blackhawks are a rebuilding team. There's no doubt about that. It doesn't help anyone in bringing in too many veterans, so the prospects are held back and not able to earn the NHL spots. There's plenty of room on the team ahead there's plenty of room on the team ahead of this coming training camp, and there aren't exactly options to trade for to change that in the next few months of summer. This is generally what the roster is going to look like as the preseason comes next month, and all of these young players are going to get their chances. So training camp is going to be really interesting. We're going to be following that really closely, and it's going to be fun to see who kind of makes it out. So good luck to everybody there on the ice. I'm not going to go too deeply into this one, but Dom Luszczyszyn with the New York Times and The Athletic put out his yearly ranking of the NHL teams and how wisely they spend their money. Interesting thing to look at. Something to look at when the offseason is dead as it is. He has the Hawks ranked 31st of all the teams, ranked just ahead of Seattle Kraken. The reason I'm not going to delve into too much, because one, we all know we've been rebuilding, and this is yet another rebuilding year. So in regards to using our cash on contracts and all this other kind of stuff, it's kind of out the window this year. But also, two, we have a ton of cap space, along with a whole slew of players that's going to be coming off of their entry-level contracts next season. So let's go deeper into these rankings next year for sure, because now that'll be a much broader and more interesting conversation on these contracts. Personally, I think most Hawks fans will most likely just put their trust in Davidson, as they've been doing ever since he's taken the helm, and we'll trust him for one more season and see how things shake out. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. And last but not least, we've got a couple of hot takes, and both of these, we only have two today, both of them repeat offenders, as we know I like to say. Lester7L1 said, "Hey PJ, thanks for doing a great job with these videos during a dry season." You're welcome, sir. Thank you for your service as well. I'm looking forward to the regular season. Go Blackhawks. Right there with you, buddy. And then also Swoop 1870G8187. I'm only going to read half of what he wrote because it's really long, but it's also really well thought out. And I encourage all of you to go and read it because he's got some great points in there. So this is what he said. "Just an observation, but I think calling Spencer Knight a prospect is a reach, considering he's been playing pro hockey for the last several seasons. Obviously, goalies take more time to develop, but I would argue that a lengthy process shouldn't make a goalie a prospect indefinitely just because they haven't played a certain amount of NHL games, especially if you start your career playing second fiddle behind a guy like Bob in Florida. I mean, what really can you do in that situation? I suppose my point is riding the bench should mean something. Goalies should get credit for that. And oddly, they don't, or at least they don't get as much credit as they deserve. And I think calling Spencer Knight a prospect is proof of this. And I can't argue with that. I think he's spot on. Please read the rest of his comments. It's too long right now to read, but seriously, thought-provoking, great stuff. Let's just say on the second half, let's just say that he feels that we got a fantastic deal with Knight, as well as getting a first-round pick and getting rid of Seth Jones. So obviously, the OG, Mr. Swoop, is a fan, and we love that. Well, that's a wrap for today, folks. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for just continuously tuning in and subscribing and sharing about the channel and liking the videos and all that kind of stuff. It really does mean a lot to me. It helps out a lot. I just love this community that we're building. I love the fact that we're celebrating this Original Six team and that we're celebrating our fantastic city of Chicago. And that, even though we know it's a rebuilding year, we're Chicago fans, so we always come into the season with really, really high hopes. And of course, we think we're going to win every game by 100 points. Easy. So thank you for being on this journey with me. I super, truly appreciate it. I really, really do. So that does it for today, folks. I'm PJ. Have an awesome weekend. Have an amazing weekend coming up. And I will see you next week on the Blackhawks Daily.